GameStop just filed for a mixed shelf offering, and the stock was down about 6% in pre-market trading before everybody freaks out and says that this is dilution. We're going to talk about it very briefly and cover what is actually going on. Guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And for all of my subscribers, I appreciate all of you guys tuning in. Now, GameStop dropped an update that initially came across as dilution. This is a mixed shelf offering, but this is not dilution. This means that the company can and is allowed to dilute. However, this filing could just be a routine update. In fact, that they might not even need to dilute in the near term or the future, but this is a possible routine update based on the strategic things that the company has been doing, like accumulating cryptocurrency, issuing warrants, and so on and so on. So that is one possibility. Overall, what this means, this basically means that there is no immediate dilution happening in the company. They waited until today so that brokers were not confused with shareholders and the warrants as of the record date. Today is the record date for the warrants. If you were holding in your account as a registered shareholder, you will receive these warrants as today's deadline. GameStop waited to drop this until today so that nothing was further confused, and that is a very important piece of the puzzle. So GameStop essentially today got pre-approval to raise cash at any point. And this is probably one of the most important things that I will be telling you. They are allowed and they need to issue this in order to even give you warrants, in order to issue specific units, in order to issue new debt via dilution, in order to issue debt in other ways. Basically, the restructuring that they would do in any possible way, they would have had to file a filing like this, so it is not bearish news, more so neutral news. But if anything, if bearish or bullish, I would say it is bullish. Why is it bullish? Well, because they didn't dilute. They waited until the warrants came through. And also now, if there is a squeeze up to hundreds of dollars, they can raise a lot of money by diluting at high prices without first having to let the SEC know what is happening, right? They're going to come out, they're going to dilute, raise a ton of cash. And if shorts planned on exiting during that dilution period, or were exiting obviously into the squeeze, that would essentially raise the floor price of their original risk, which they originally shorted at, because GameStop would be able to buy back more of the float. This is strategic. There is no issue here. In fact, in the filing, this is also for possible acquisitions. We can't forget about that as well. There are people speculating merger and acquisition coming with GameStop, and this same thing with the capital raise, if any, will be used for possible acquisitions as well. I find it so funny that these articles, so Seeking Alpha, right? These articles say this, right? I'm going to give it a brief rundown. The Grapevine Texas firm filed a prospectus related to the offer and sale of automatic mixed securities shelf. The retail company, which rose to fame as a meme stock, fell over 13% this year. It is undergoing a dramatic pivotal in traditional retail to cash-rich, crypto-focused investing holding company. Last month, the company showed involvement with revenue and swung an operating profit in the second quarter, but the highlight of its earnings report was its cash pile, which more than doubled at the end of the quarter. That is it for the article. So they say GameStop announced a mixed securities offering, a mixed shelf offering, and the stock is down. That's their headline. Then they have 3 sentences that have nothing to do with the shelf offering. 1, they don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. And 2, sorry for swearing, guys, really shouldn't be on here. But 2, they don't know what they're talking about, for 1, and for 2, they don't want you to realize that it's not dilution. They want to throw it in your face and say, guys, they're diluting you. Get out of the stock. Speaking of that, last night we saw AMC and GameStop go basically inverse each other, and we're going to talk about the charts in a second, but over 1 million shares were borrowed last night, or over pre-market and after hours trading, overnight trading, right? All of these shares, 1 million shares or so, were borrowed on GameStop, which this sell pressure in the morning wasn't people selling, obviously, it was shorting. With that being said, there is still this pressure window. In fact, this all lines up with the chart, and I'll explain right now. One, this all lines up because you have today, October 3rd to October 7th, which is this window, right? This big window that we see right here. Pay attention. Where shorts who just shorted 1 million shares, but who were also short back here, and who were also shorting through here, they have a short window. They have Monday and Tuesday of next week to exit before warrants are distributed. Technically, I guess, right? That's assuming people exercised their warrants and held them instead of selling, right? Well, actually, no, that's not completely correct either. So take that with a grain of salt, because that's not completely correct either. What we see, that's one. We see a couple days left till October 7th because that is a warrant issuance date. That is just a fact. Then we see this cycle that we have drawn out right here in black, a little displayed a little bit closer on the 30-minute time frame. We see this major sell-off dip in the chart before gapping up, squeezing, which would be overnight tonight or pre-market Monday. And this lines up. This is what we're tracking. We take a look. This is the cycle that we grabbed it from prior to the gap up and squeeze. What we saw after the chop trading, which is what we seen right here. Valley in the chart, sideways in this range, climb higher out of the range, dip way into the range before a possible gap up. Same thing, we're in this setup, and what we see is we can take the overnight high. You can see that we dropped about 9-10%, or you can take the day high and say that we dropped about 16%. If we look at GameStop and we take a closer look, we can take the same relative high that we've seen, and we dropped a total of about 11%. If we take the pre-market high, we dropped about 9%. Very similar setup coming into what we have drawn out. And no matter how much FUD gets thrown at me, I'm here to debunk it and bring it to your attention. Hopefully this all makes you feel better. As far as AMC goes, we saw a massive pop last night. It was up about 7%. GameStop towards the end of the day took a nosedive. AMC, you can see, perfectly rejected off of this channel, respected this resistance very much so, and has not broken out just yet. All it got was a little bit of momentum with a little bit of volume, which is just the first signal that we want to see. But what we do see is we see 5 tests on this descending trend line with a flag pattern and a break out of that flag pattern. So this is step 1 to a short squeeze or another leg higher. This is step 1 right now for AMC, looking beautiful. We cannot disregard BBBY, Bed Bath & Beyond, trading at $11.55. This has built beautiful momentum all the way since May of this year, continuously. Had this beautiful W pattern in the chart, continuing to climb higher, has not finished this pattern, and I believe at minimum we are heading up to $14. I don't give financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but BBBY I'm not taking off my radar. That's still about 21 to 22% higher, and I think that's the minimum move we get. Following that, if we squeeze with alongside AMC and GameStop, if AMC's coming up to $4.85 to $7, Bed Bath & Beyond will likely be $20 to possibly $27. If GameStop's at 52, I expect Bed Bath & Beyond to be at 27.50, possibly 31.60. Right? These are the levels that I have. You can screenshot this, and maybe it doesn't happen, but it's my outlook, and you do what you want to do with your money. COST is something that should not be taken off your radar if you're watching AMC and GameStop. This is likely to move with AMC and GameStop and has been flat so far. This is just AMC's chart overlaid just to kind of give you guys a view as to why we look at costs, because we haven't talked about it in a bit. But this should give you that perspective. Overall, those are all the squeeze things that I wanted to talk about. There's a lot of sick stuff happening on X. I'll probably drop another video because the next video is going to be a bunch of copyright stuff, and it's not going to be monetized, but we're going to talk about some things that happened. Roaring Kitty, Trump. We talked a little bit about him in Discord. It's all speculation, but it's interesting to say the least. And I know people are going to say it's all tin, which is fine, possibly, but possibly not. And it's worth bringing to people's attention. SPY is at all-time highs again, 671.83. Liquidity is being just absolutely thrown into here. And as it seems, it's so odd that the dip, and this is for a whole nother video, but the thought just came to my head, but the dip we seen in April on the S&P 500 indicated that retail didn't actually get out, but they kept buying, which is so odd. And they kept buying throughout this year. Retail has shifted their brains to invest like an institutional investor. And institutional investors are like, listen, man, you guys need to be the exit liquidity like the old days, right? Like, we need you guys to fall for our psychological tactics. And at some point when the market is just continuously going up, even though people are calling for downside, retail's gonna cave in. And they're either waiting for retail to sell or retail to get absurdly euphoric. So right now, what I'm going to look for, not in today's video because that's for another video, is some stealth selling. I need to see what retail is doing as well. But overall, the SPY is losing volume. It's fading volume on this climb higher. Watch for a move to 673.50 as a rejection level and a rejection zone. We have it going as possibly as high as 675.50 in this liquidity pocket that we assume will be a liquidity pocket. So we'll watch this level between 673.50 and 675.50. Nvidia, in my opinion, looks heavy only because it's in a very, very, very overbought region. Every time it has entered the top of this region, once, couldn't make it there a second time, twice, 3 times, we had a hard dip after. And Nvidia is also very overbought on the RSI. This is the 4-hour time frame. Nvidia still is not a $200 stock, and I have 196.70 on the radar. And Palantir is still not a $200 stock. I want to know which one you guys think is going to make it there first. But from a technical perspective, Palantir hit an important rejection level right here at its recent peak. And Tesla did the same thing at that same level right by its peak. And Nvidia is also a little bit heavy. All of these are going to affect the market. And I believe once we get major corporate earnings, SPY may have a little bit of flash of reality, as well as when the government shutdown ends up ending. I didn't even look into more of that. I don't know if there's any more news on that. Maybe I'm behind, but those are the things that I'm watching for and expecting. Now, $4.3 billion worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum options expire today. Bitcoin's at 120,700, almost 121. This is important because we broke above 120. We had liquidations at 117. We got those liquidations. We had liquidations at 120. We got those liquidations. Given that is old news, traders move their stops. Okay, they move their stops. But what I can tell you is that there is another rejection zone that we're watching on the way to 131, which is the bias, and it's at 123. This relative high right here, this pocket. We want to see if Bitcoin rejects early, then the market is going to have likely some turbulence. If we blow past 123, the markets will likely remain resilient to 680 plus, possibly. So I'll be watching that as well. A lot of things interconnect. Guys, if you're not following me on X, make sure to go follow me over there. The main point of this video was to cover the GameStop document. And it's pretty important, right? What they issued, warrants are now deadline closed if you're a record shareholder, registered shareholder, all that other stuff. But yeah, go follow me on X. We have 3,300 followers over there. We should have at least 5K plus. Subscribe to the channel, turn post notifications on. I'm going to leave 2 links in the description as well as pinned in the comments down below. Also, if you want to watch the short for a GameStop breakdown as to that filing, go watch that. If this video was too complex, the short might be a little bit simpler. In the description is for my Discord server where we talk stocks and crypto all day long. Best vibes, best people, ton of alerts in there. I also post my trades as soon as I take them, and you can go get my custom indicator linked in the description down below. I don't know why the pictures aren't showing up, but you can try it risk-free for 7 days. I actually did want to talk about my indicator a little bit because I had it up on AMC's chart, and it's showing some strong momentum going forward. As you can see right here, I can remove the drawings here. This is just one thing that it can detect. I can change the time frames and edit it to kind of give an idea where we are going to go. As far as order blocks, we can see that AMC, where it's trading at right now, is hitting a sell block anywhere under 325, between 317 and 332, 325 being a rejection level. And until then, we have a lot of room to run if we absorb the sellers here, which I do believe is going to happen. Otherwise, we have a hard opening move down to 280 on AMC. But AMC is looking good. GameStop's looking good. Bed Bath & Beyond, COST, watch them. That is it, guys. I love you all. God bless. Lottery stocks out.